Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So we came in this morning and the futures are down another 10 handles, almost similar to the day prior. The question was, would we hold Friday's gap up where you had that gap and go, which took us to highs of last week. So if the market wanted to be resilient and very constructive, chances are they hold in that area. If they wanted to shake things up, perhaps close that gap and make some guys who are in some longs get stopped out or get more bearishness around, whatever it is. So anyway, you go right to the chart and you'll see that the SPX wound up holding this spot again. So if you look all in all about the rally that we've seen and how you could have maneuvered it, it's been pretty methodical, right? You have your low, you have your double bottom. Quick up move right into resistance. Everyone wasn't sure what would be next. What happened? We pulled back and we held. This was your buyable spot if you missed the first part of this move. Then from here, 3 days up, pulled into the 8-day, wide range bar up. Then you grinded higher, came into the 8-day again, tested it, closed above it on the ECB, big push above the 200-day, and now we're holding here again. So at this particular point, with the Fed tomorrow, there's a lot that could happen. So I'm not going to get into it now, except for at least we have an inside range that's really tight, because we all know on Fed Day we do not hold tight ranges. Either this 201 area winds up getting filled, which it might get filled anyway and could still go up, and we touch the 8-day, which is closer to 2001, or we blast off above the recent 2024, and that could take you back. That could take you to 2040 plus. Okay, the last, I've looked at this, pattern a few times with you guys, just trying to show you the correlation of how you had this double bottom. If you missed the first move, here's where you took back the 8-day. Here was prior resistance, pushed above, held the 8-day, and then for 100 or so handles, it went all the way up. Last time we went to the 200-day, we went above it, came in 2 sessions, held it, and then still had, another, 65 handles. I'm not sure, what's going to transpire here, but we're getting pretty close into an inflection point. And I know it's a hard spot. Everyone says, oh, we're at a tough spot. Well, we're in a lot of tough spots. Trading's never easy either which way. You make inflection points. This was a hard spot to buy, but it held. Okay, this was a tough spot to short, but it came in. Another hard spot to buy, but it held the 8-day. And if you didn't, this was your spot when it cleared the prior pivot. And P.S., here you are. So there are some divergences amongst, sectors. XLE, I think one of the few that actually held in pretty damn well. I shouldn't use that word, pretty well, with oil coming in for 2 days, showing you some demand, and what did Coinky think? It's been holding the 8-day moving average, so this seems like there could be another move to the 200-day. The Russell was a little weaker today, but still kind of hanging around, so this is the caveat out here, but look at the size of the move that it's had. So maybe this one doesn't hold the 8-day, but comes into the 21-day. So this is a divergence. The XLF, pretty tight now. It actually held the 8-day, so you would think that maybe if they want to push tomorrow, they push the banks a little bit up to see if it can get a little bit further. And really, as a trader, I came in long a few things, and I said I'm going to try and buy versus the first 30-minute long or first 30-minute pivot, and then salvage, trade out, and then see where there's cash flow. And Chelsea and I spoke about the high beta names that have been really strong. Well, every one of the high beta tech names gave you a red to green trade, which is a nice trade for traders who come in flat. And it's also a good trade if you had some and you bought more, and when it went green, you trade out of it, and then your original position works. If you look at Amazon, which I told you I came in long overnight, still grinding higher. Doesn't look like a blockbuster move, but here's when it held, and now it's coming into another pivot. I'm not sure if it takes out that 585, but it took out the 50-day, came up, it's right there. We'll see what happens next. Google, which I think is stretched also, as stretched as it is, did not come in. It was down a few dollars, and I talked about a level that could hold to potentially buy, and it came into there and held it, and now went sideways, and now you have a 2-day pivot, and maybe it goes higher still. Facebook was actually really strong, and Facebook came in. We talked about can it hold the 8-day, and what did it do? It held the 8-day. Remember this first ascending channel, which made it look bearish, but what did it do? It corrected, held, and now it came back up, and now it seems like it's taking out this pivot. So we'll see, what they want to do with this tomorrow, but this closed, pretty strong. I'm actually long this. Apple, I posted the chart 2 days ago. Pretty big move. You know, the first spot to bought it, to have, you know, for the to clear to have gotten long was right here, and then it held sideways, not so bad, and now you have a big gap to trade against. You know, I would think that maybe there's a little bit more follow through. You know, got to my 105 a target real quickly, but I didn't think it would get there so fast. But now, you know, maybe it looks to get a little bit higher. I'm still long some, traded pretty well. They didn't give you much action after the first push. If you look at the 15-minute chart, you know, kind of just hanging around here. So your first push. So tomorrow we'll see if it could hold this gap here, and maybe even, you know, a little bit higher would be nicer. And then if it were to clear this tomorrow, maybe get another push. You know, this gap, if it holds, usually gives you some kind of measured move of the size of the gap if it holds, and that's about, you know, $2. So that gets you to around 106. So we'll see. Tesla's still grinding away, real strong. You know, you go to your daily chart of Tesla and still above the 8-day. Anyone who's fighting it, it's just fighting a very strong trend. Not much you can do about that. What has it done? Oh, quinky dink, took back the 8-day right here if you missed the bottom, which a lot of people did, and then crawled all the way up and still, you know, is doing it. I'm not saying, you know, you have to be buying here if you think it's extended, but being shorted has not worked either. I'm talking about shorts. Let's talk about VRX. Wow! This stock, you know, I remember talking about it here when people are like, oh, how could you have seen this move coming? Well, first you had an outside day right here. That was your first outside day shot across the bow that this stock might be in for some trouble. Then came in, held at 200, it came back up, and look at the size of this outside day engulfing action. This should not happen in a healthy stock. Okay, should not take that back and then come back below it. And then you almost could draw the trend, you know, instead of like, you know, fundamentals and balance sheets and this and that, or hopium, you draw a trend. This trend broke right around here, okay, and then came back up, retested it, stayed on the right side, and got crushed. Then you had even a head and shoulders top pattern where you had a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, and then boom. And then what does this look like? Ooh, it looks like a bear flag below the 200-day. And what does Red Dog say about stocks below the 200-day? You do not own them. You could trade them here and there, but you don't own them, and usually get rid of them when they break the 21-day, which happened a hell of a lot higher than that. And PS, boom. This is where we are, traded below this and closed on the lows, and, you know, it's just, it's upsetting. I'm sorry for guys who are caught in it. I'm sorry guys who think that Ackman, you know, just bought it close to him because he's had success. Doesn't mean anything moving forward. Price action is price action. And then guys even could have made money short today. You know, broke 50 and then look at the 34. You know, this little spot here. Came all the way in, came down to 40, and then right here, you know, gave you this little bolt, you know, this little bear flag actually. And I think some of us, including me, got caught a little short trade below 40, went down to 37 before continuing lower. Now, I know Citron's going to be on tonight. You know, they're going to be discussing MNK. I don't know what to tell you if you're in it, except for look at the size of this engulfing bar, just engulfed this entire range here. Last time you had a big engulfing bar, you know, it broke support and you had to ask questions later. Well, you know, boom down, bear flag, continuation, bear flag, continuation, and now the market didn't know what's going on, but the size of this engulfing bar with the volume, you know, hopefully you got out of it. You know, if you've been trying to accumulate it, there are easier things out there than playing with fire. So now you'll see what happens here or here, but again, below the 200 average, not an investment below it. So in closing, you know, tomorrow's Fed day. We're going to have a lot of probably moves back and forth. You know, at least we have a tight range developing where you have in the SPX, you have like 2024 is now a key resistance level. If it pushes through, shorts get covered. Maybe we'll get a good trade there. You have now this 2010-ish area, 2009 or 2008-ish. That's going to be support. That's where that gap is, and we'll see if that holds. So at least, again, when you have pivots that develop in tight ranges, you know, you don't have to guess which way to resolve. You could just go with whatever the trade is. And unfortunately, on Fed day, it happens many different times. But if you catch it on the time that it squeezes through correctly, you could sell the strength, you know, and then revisit. Same way, you know, you could press the spot that it breaks below, which could be the gap, could be the spiders at 201, and then maybe it comes back up, reclaims it, and you buy it. So lots of ways, lots of strategies to potentially go at tomorrow, and we'll revisit it then. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow.